the skits, the whole project was supposed to be cinematic. So if you look at the end of Phone Down, if you look at the end of 5Foot3, you realize that I'm doing this like mumbling, talking to
Why is
myself.
it the biz me all necessary
Yeah,
question?
yeah. Then at the end of Phone Down to Jejom and I
Arguments
have an
where
argument.
shady.
Charlie, but the skits are so realistic, Charlie.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
like me and Nasiba every time. That's like me and Oswald every time. That's like me and Amma every time. Like they're so realistic.
So we wanted to it was a strategy to make people look at it as an everyday, tap into their psychology, like tap into that creative space where people listen and then they're like, oh, yeah, these things like happen. Oh, this thing happened to me just yesterday. So that the music is not so far away. And that's why we chose to do like a skit. And where it is, the position of the skit is just to lead into the next song that
stereotypes. It actually fits it perfectly.
Right. So stereotype in itself, for me, I think the it says what it says, stereotypes. Like a lot of the parts, a lot of the lines that you talk about in that song, like are things that I've been a culprit of. I've been the one perpetuating a lot of that. And I think it's very confident of you to be able to put and it's like to be able to speak on that in a personal level. Like there are some things that I would not want to admit that I do. And to be able to go, Twitter. You get it, and to be able to go on record about some of these things, I think that's very brave of you. Like Charlie, like we cancel you a long time ago.
Hey, see, I'll tell you the exact mind space I was in when. So just like you, I'm a big culprit of that thing. See, it aches me. So backstory, I say this off the record, but I posted this on my status some time ago. What happened to standards? Then Kojo replied. He's like, what is it about standards? And I'm like, lately it's like people just do whatever they want. See, we had a legit 4-hour argument. Around 9 p.m. 9 p.m. We argue making knock like 1. We were just going back and forth because he was telling me that the point he was making for me to understand is that those standards that have been created were created in an era. And things are getting better, things are changing, and we should be able to adjust as things adjust instead of looking at it as it is barbaric. If we keep looking at things today as barbaric, it means that we'll never move from yesterday, we'll never progress. That's the argument he was making. But me too, I was not understanding him because I'm never going to validate that girl that is posted their bikini. Like, why are you coming to post your bikini on social media, right? But he asked me, what's the worst? Like, what harm does it do to me sitting here if Kenneth is smoking? That got me thinking. I'm like, okay, I don't like the idea of smoking. I won't smoke. Fine. Kenneth is smoking. Why are you chastising him? Like, you can tell him what the health implications are, right? But why are you making it look like he's a criminal because he's smoking? Why are you making it look so some way? And then he highlighted something. He told me that the reason why I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm seeing a lot of nudes is because of the Instagram algorithm. You know that the more like Instagram shows you more of what you look at, right?
Yeah.
So if you were not looking at a lot of like these things and consuming them, right? Also, there's a button on Instagram that lets you say, I want less of this content. Why, if it worries me, why am I not doing that? That's what he told me. Yeah, that day I was not happy at all because he heightened my, like, he made me more aware of like my hypocrisy. And that is what gave me the duality of opinions. Remember, I told you that it is through arguments that we get perspective. Here's how it connects to the songs in order. We started from the girl who was fat and feels insecure, right? Yeah. She has gone to do gym training and she has lost some weight and she wants the whole world to see. So she puts it on social media and she's waiting for her retweets, right? And she's always on her phone.
Yeah.
Now, to show you how much weight she has lost, she has to wear bikini. She cannot wear what Nasiba is wearing right now. You will not see, right? Yeah. So she's wearing all the skimpy clothes. That's the boys like to show. And me, KooKusi, sitting in my house, I'm quick to judge her for what she's wearing. Have I considered what she's going through in her mind and why she's doing that and why she's trying to compensate for it before I just jump into going to judge her and all of that?
Yeah.
I've not. So that is the link. The girl doing that, it's not like she wants to be like she's a bad girl or something. She may not have even had sex before, right?
Yeah.
Then the second verse goes in to say, Charlie, all this warranted. I understand this. You misunderstand this. I'm not trying to justify the prejudicial factors, but you are trying to compromise and rewrite every standard that we already have because those standards were not set for nothing. They say that when an adult sits down, what they can see, when you stand up, you can't see it. There's a reason why all those things are there. And that is what goes into like talking about things like racism. See, it is wrong for anybody to shoot you because you are black. But me, when I walk in the evening, when I go out and then I'm walking and then I see a black person, me cry that's the person like I'm black. Right? When I see a black person at that time, I'm scared. And why? Because we have a part of our brain to judge for a reason. There's a part of our brain that we use to make tough decisions, that we use to profile people. God puts it there for a reason. It's a protective measure. So much as it is not the best thing to do to watch somebody, profile them and judge them, it also helps you. If you are going to do a job interview, when they are interviewing you, you are reading their body language, you are profiling them, and that is judgment. So that song, I guess it besides the fact that it talks about stereotypes, it talks about hypocrisy. You that is judging somebody because of the skimpy clothes that they are wearing, you are a hypocrite because you, the artist, you were looking as going to bribe a policeman. Remember that part at the beginning? Yeah, you're a hypocrite. At the same time, the person who is saying don't judge me is hypocritical because they also judge people every day. When they went to do the job interview, they judged the panel. When they were the panel, they judged the person who was going for the interview. It's something that we all do that we don't want to admit.
But there are some judgments that, for instance, like if you go for an interview and you are judging their body language, how they are receiving your answers and whatnot, it's not a judgment that can put the panel into trouble. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you don't. However, like you're not undermining them.
Yes, but if I'm looking through social media and I'm judging the girl in bikini, so I text, why are you doing this, blah, 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 and probably add something that I might not think is an insult, but could be an insult to her. It's a judgment that can harm.
Yes.
You as a black man walking in the evening and then seeing another one and then being like, oh, your senses are heightened and whatnot. Yes, it could protect you if the person is a bad person. But what if it's also a white person who is a bad person?
Yeah. No, like, so, yeah, now that you bring that up, here's how it works. When I did the interview with Isaac, he showed me something I've never thought of it before. It's beautiful. He said that the problem is not the white or the black, it's the opposing color. Like when a black man sees a white man. Yeah, honestly, no. For me, I may be more scared of the black person, but generally, the black person is more afraid of the white. The white person is more afraid of the black person at night. It's just the opposing colors. But he said that on top of all that, the race is not the first problem. The first problem is the hoodie that the person was wearing. If you meet anybody at night at 12 a.m., regardless of the color of the person, it is the hoodie that you are first afraid of. Because if you met a black person wearing shirt and tie, you won't be scared, even as a white person, right?
Yeah.
The hoodie is what you are first afraid of. Before the color, is it the same as mine or is opposing? If it's opposing, then you are more scared. Before black, we have a special position in that category. Like it comes down in that order, right? And it may not be the best, but it's protective.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because we are more afraid of things that we are not familiar with.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as it's something that you are not very, very used to, your first response usually is some level of apprehension until you realize that, okay, this is something that you are familiar with. This is something you've dealt with before. This is something that you have dealt with before and are now very comfortable with. And so I think even aside the fact that the hoodie being, and I think is the fact that the person is a strange person, something that you don't know.
Yeah.
And the hoodie is covering that thing. And so you need to see what it is before your other prejudices even begin to play out.
Yeah. And yet
and
again, all these things have like neural connections. There's a part of your brain that you use to learn. They call it implicit learning. Like yen can't but one kasa, like over time, you know how this particular thing works. If you establish a connection between hoodie and crime, every time you see a hoodie, you'll be scared. And how did you learn it? TV. Okay. Have you noticed that Netflix has a lot of movies that have LGBT scenes in them?
Yeah.
Netflix did this. They've made a policy. They will only put your movie up or like promote your movie or whatever if it addresses a minority group. So feminine, Black, LGBT, right? Those are the feminine, the minority
the
groups.
Predominant minority groups.
What they did is that for me, so in around 2013, I found like somebody being gay barbaric. Like, why are you gay? Today.
Why are you gay?
Yeah, like why are you
Sorry,
gay?
anytime I hear that question, it's that interview that comes to my head.
Why are you gay? But today, much as I want to be gay, my friends that I'm in class with, like half of them are gay. And I talk to them comfortably. Why? Netflix. They show me a movie and then they make the protagonist in the movie gay. So I like the personality. I may not like your being gay, but then I learned that, so even gay people can be good people. So like, what's wrong with that? Which is actually true. So that is how Netflix hacked the system to kind of make it become more palatable, like to us now. Implicit learning. And that's just how we establish connections between things. If you take I use this as an example, the word fat. Fat wasn't an insult too. It was just an adjective in the dictionary.
Yeah.
The emotional expression that people give off when they say the word fat is what made this become an insult. All of a sudden, you establish a connection between that word and then that emotion, and then you say that this thing is an insult.
That's why these days plus size is more appreciated.
But I suffer when I'm trying to describe somebody who is fat. I struggle when I want to describe them.
Hey, just say plus size and
like what is plus? Fat, let's go.
Right? It's a tough thing, especially when, like you said, growing up, the person has associated fat with something that's wrong. And so you don't want to add to their problems.
Yes.
Right? And so you use a more appreciative adjective to just tell them that, like, you don't mean harm, but like, she's a plus size person or something.
And also for someone who hasn't lived in an environment where it's supposed to be wrong to describe somebody as fat, the person, when the person changes environment into maybe an environment that's more welcoming, like that's more like sort of that doesn't like to use those kinds of words, the person will not know that is not supposed to be the correct thing over here.
That's the problem.
You understand? So sometimes some of these things, the person didn't learn growing up where the person came from. When you are described as fat, it's not supposed to be derogatory. People accept it when they are described as fat because it means that you have more weight or mass than the next person. That's just a simple dictionary definition of what being fat is supposed to be. And so I think also the environment also plays a very huge role, and the background in which you. So sometimes if the person describes somebody as fat and you think is stereotypical of the person who is saying that, you have to also understand sometimes that the person genuinely doesn't know or hasn't learned that it's wrong to do that. And so judging the person just on the face of the fact that he said what he said could also be harmful to he himself, because now maybe your reaction to the way he said it may have been also in a would have been derogatory to him. They would be like, I mean, like, say Assembly American, now are you reacting to me? Now you begin to fuel hatred, like, antagonism in the person, rather than even actually helping the person to appreciate the fact that things have changed. This place is different from where you used to be from. All that. So I don't know if that also
it doesn't
plays a role.
validate it. It doesn't mean that it is right for. I know that way, like me, I'm doing a lot of learning now because I'm in like new environments, new culture, different things. It calls something microaggression. Like if somebody meets you, a white person meets you, and then they say, "Oh, hey, you speak very good English." It sounds like a
Yeah,
compliment, but what they
microaggression.
actually mean is that, "Oh, na Ghana Nina, oh, bro, for your
Bro, for
camera."
that. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
microaggression. Hey.
I know they like. Then they teach me. They do some class, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I really don't dislike that class because they teach me all these things where on a normal day I won't care about it. But now
Yeah.
you're going to make me hypersensitive to it. Like the word short. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
I get offended. I don't get offended when someone calls me short. I get offended when somebody says sorry to call you short. What do you mean sorry? Why are you making it look like what you saying sorry is like you saying that I am I have a problem.
Yeah,
You
so the
get
person
it?
is reminding you that you're supposed to get pissed off when somebody describes you as what you are.
What I say? What I say? What I
You
say?
didn't even
Like,
know initially that you had to be pissed off. Now I'm reminded that I should have been angry like 4 days ago. So should I go back and
yeah,
give the person some
Yeah.
slaps?
right. But think about it. How many people know these nitty-gritties? How many people have processed these things in their minds? And that is why I throw them in music. So if I can find two artists, one of them will decide to do a song on implicit learning and implicit biases and stereotypes and describe the psychology of it, but not be able to make you understand how we do it every day. And that's just how that's what I got from the Kojo Q. Oh, and yeah, later on maybe I'll talk about other artists that do that. Kofi Kenata does that very well too. I also
Yeah.
learned like a lot from him too in that regard.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just where I was on stereotypes. But you'd realize that in stereotypes, there's no conclusion. This is why. The problem is not the issues that we were arguing. The problem, like I said, is the individuals. So the person in the first verse, his 5'3" is the fact that he's missing a moral compass, right? The second person, his 5'3" is that he's just a little too judgmental. Take 10 of these people, put them in one room together, and they will be the people that will make an issue of the boy going to Achimota school with braids. That's just how we ended up there, having that argument. It wasn't the boy, it wasn't the braids, it wasn't Achimota school. It was the individuals having the arguments and their own internal 5'3" that produced those, like that whole fracas.
Yeah,
Essentially, the problem is the individuals.
Yes, it's us.
Okay.
It's me and you.
I think it's also interesting that you mentioned the Achimota issue and Wesley Yo's issue on the song about stereotypes, because it was one topical subject that actually brought about people displaying their biases, their experiences, and bringing all what they know, or depending on where you came from, bringing all of that into perspective. Because there was a huge debate about, okay, so for those who don't know, it was about a young boy who had graduated junior high school, entering senior high school in Ghana, and he happened to get admission to his first choice school. There were two actually. They got admission into Achimota School, one of the most prestigious schools in Ghana, right? And and okay, so and according to the regulations of the school or GES or whatever,
who makes the regulations?
You are not supposed to.
School.
Yeah.
Who makes the school?
The head people. Can I finish the
Who
story?
are the head
God.
people? Individuals.
Yes.
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 You understand it? Yeah. So they had dreads. They are Rastafarians, and so characteristically they carry dreads on their head, like long dreadlocks. And so the school was like, they can't accept them unless they cut their dreads. So it was two options for them: forgo your admission at Achimota School, or
cut your hair
before you're allowed. And it became a whole thing. The kids' parents took it to court and everything for weeks on end. Eventually, they won the case and they were admitted. One of them was admitted. Yeah, the school is currently appealing though, but one of them is currently in the school, and another one had to transfer into a different private school, which was more liberal in their activities. I hear he has a scholarship and all that, and he's enjoying about it. But the other guy is also in school right now.
He insisted that that's
and all that. And also, there's also an angle to this where Achimota School has been seen to have admitted international students and all that who have had their hair on, Caucasian, ladies who have had their hair on and everything. But when it comes to the black students in a school, they are not allowed to keep their hair, and so that was,
A
you know,
dicey
well,
issue.
a very dicey one that
And I
came up.
think that thing, the first point, like the first place that we were supposed to go to was not. I mean, for the people that were saying let the boys go to school, I feel like, well, I can't say all of them because I heard some of them saying this particular part. First thing they should have fought. This case has been what, 2 years?
Yeah. We have a podcast on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
They should have pushed for the rule to be changed first. Then, based off of the change in the rule, you push for them to go to school. But now the rule in GES has not been changed, and you are trying to create an exception to the rule. That's where the problem is. Don't go back and forth until that rule is changed. If they don't if they are not able to circumvent that, you will not be able to do anything about that.
Because there's always going to be another student who may come with different.
Some people were hoping
I will
that
tell
the
you, see, I come and
judgment
tell you that my religion, if we wear white shirts, we are mourning. So I'll not wear white to prep. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah. I guess the lawyers were thinking about the short term, getting the kids in the school, and so they felt like appealing that particular one would be more expedient feasible when it comes to I think that could be the reason. But I agree totally with you. Yeah, I think it has to be a more general rule. They have to look into that more and see what they can do about that. Personally, I wasn't excited about the fact that the kids are supposed to bear the brunt of what the legal framework makes difficult for them. So personally, that's what I think. But
you know how, like, when issues come up, like in the law circles where we have to do stories, they will be quoting judgments from other cases.
Yeah.
And so in cases where maybe it arises again where somebody wants to go to school with their hair in different institutions, then they might like go to, in this Achimota case, what the judge said.
Yes, they'll use as a precedent.
Yes. And I feel like but then one person alone, one kid going to school with their hair can't do much unless maybe there's a lot of them. Then GES will be pushed to, okay, this judgment, people are coming. It's bringing this now, so let's change our rules and something like that.
Yeah. So they had to have that win to stand on.
Yeah. But I don't think the rule is GES per se, more like the school, because aren't there some schools that have students with their hair? Because there were public schools, there were public government schools that were like, come to our school, would accept you. Even Presec had photos of people with dreads, and then they were posting.
Accra Academy
also I think that it's the school.
I think it's
the rule. There's a GES rule, but not every school. You know the way schools have their own, like they have their way around. So GES cannot come and query Presec because they allowed the boy to come to the school. So it comes down to the school's ability to implement the rule. But when they were arguing it out, they said that it was a GES provision that was like set.
I think
so whether that rule should stand or not, me, I don't have an opinion. That's why I gave you 2 verses.
Oh yeah, I think that song does justice to stereotypes, actually, and also the fact that it ends on an open-ended note, allowing for more people to more room for discussion.
When you listen to the outro, those voice notes there, those were voice notes from different people. They are panned. One agrees, one disagrees. One agrees, one disagrees. That's all they were doing at the end of the song.
It's actually those voice notes that I'm like, okay, so this album is directed towards the youth in a way, but I feel like the older generation should also like listen to something like this. I said the same thing when I was listening to For My Brothers, because at the end of the day, some of them perpetuate some of these things. They are the ones that raised us, and it's because of what they used to raise us that we are going through what we are going through right now. And so it's helpful not just for us to listen to and have a change of mind, but for like to also put the issues in front of them. This is what you did, this is what's doing.
Because a lot of the ways to wean yourself off of some of these things are through learning. And it's not every day you find yourself in a class, like you said, you're taking a class and learning about more about racism, discrimination, and all of that. It's not every time that you get the opportunity, especially in our parts of the continent or of the world. In Africa, it's not every time you get the chance to sit side by side, like to consciously learn about race and derogatory languages, how to be more accepting towards minorities and all that. We don't have these conversations every day, and that's even among the youth, and not to even talk of the oldies who were more rigid growing up when it comes to values and all of that. So
That's
they
why
don't
they don't
so
understand when I don't want to take a job as fintech because I live in Kokomlemle and they think that I am being
yeah. So it's easier for them to learn some of these things through songs like
stereotypes and all.
stereotypes, which happens to be on 5Foot3. So I
Yeah,
think like
stereotypes.
that's a plus.
I think I had both people in mind. So the first verse is one verse that I want every adult to listen to. The second verse is one verse that I want every youthful person to listen to. Everybody so far on Twitter that has spoken about stereotypes love stereotypes because of the first verse, because the old people know that side.
Yeah.
They're not there to, but when I spoke to a relative of mine, about the project. She's like, yeah, I said, no, come up. And she was talking about the second verse. It's called confirmation bias. People like to hear what they are already.
What supports them, yeah.
But hopefully in the process, I mean, the song, you cannot say that I finished listening to verse 1, so I've stopped.
Skipping.
Yeah, you have to go through it. So like, hopefully we get to a point where we pick something from either side.